1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry out, and all your catering needs.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Kelvin. Happy to be here. See if I can turn my headphones up so I can hear myself. There we go. Much better.
I've got myself going.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Perfect. As long as you can hear me and I can hear you, we are tending to be on the right track.
Especially after last week when the mic went.
Yeah, we had a little mic issue, but it's okay. Welcome back into the show. My name is Kelvin. That is Justin across from me.
Howdy.
Glad that you are here wherever you are watching us from.
Or listening.
From. That's a good point. Glad you guys can make it. Got a couple listeners in already. If you want to call in, the number is 817-637-2585. It's interesting. I work at another radio station, and our number is very oddly similar, so I have to always make sure and check to not call the other radio station if you do want to call. But anyway, a lot of stuff to get into. Our wonderful and very dear Texas Rangers have decided to kind of take over the world of DFW when it comes to sports over the last 4 or 5 days.
And at least one of them, a lot of the fans are very happy about it.
Yeah,
and I mean, a lot
of
Ranger fans are very happy about one of those moves.
We're gonna get to the Rangers here in just a little bit. But I want to start with what really got the sports world going today, which seemed to kind of maybe come to an end of this insane saga that we're still dealing with when it comes to Deshaun Watson. But we got some news, and the NFL decided to suspend him for 11 games and only fine him $5 million. Keep in mind, this is a player who has a contract worth $230 million that is fully guaranteed by the Cleveland Browns,
change.
Which is nothing for him, right?
I still say it should have been a full year.
But here's my 2 cents after reading everything and reading the NFL statements and then reading Cleveland statements and then reading Deshaun's statement. I kind of still sit on the fence with everything that has happened for a couple of reasons. I think, number one, this makes the NFL look really bad. It makes them look horrible because all I was preached over the last 2 weeks was that they had such an insurmountable amount of evidence, enough to potentially suspend him for indefinitely, forever, from ever stepping foot on an NFL field again. And I get that promise from the NFL and that kind of assurance that they've got this evidence and they've got it loaded and they're ready to rumble. And then I hear some news today that they settled and that he's only getting 11 games and a $5 million fine, which isn't even going to the NFL. It's going to charity, by the way.
Well, that's where they send the fines.
Which is right where they're sending it. So I'm a little confused because more than half the women already settled, which is already a little suspicious to me to begin with.
Yeah.
I think, and if you're a woman and you're listening, or if this ever gets to a woman's ears, I just need you to understand where I'm coming from. All 33 or 32 of these women could have testified in court exactly what happened and put Deshaun Watson in jail potentially for life. The fact that over half of them decided to settle, to me, it doesn't make their case any stronger because they never came out and said anything about it. Matter of fact, multiple of them in the first court hearing that we got the 5-game suspension, which, by the way, the judge really didn't find him guilty of too much. If anything, she just said that his behavior was the determining factor for giving him 5 games. My point is that in that first hearing, the women that did talk said that they went back to him multiple times. And it's just hard for me to back you on something so sensitive and so serious that you repeatedly went back to.
Yeah,
And so
It-
I don't
it's
want
a
I don't
crazy
yeah, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm
situation.
like advocating for his defense and he's a wonderful human being. He's clearly not.
No.
And there's always some truth to what's going on here, but I just think the NFL, I think they lost the ball big time here. I think they did massively. They had a chance to kind of make a standard, and they promised us with all this, we've got evidence and we can put them out indefinitely if we win the case. And here we go. We get 11 games. And not to mention, before you go,
The
Justin,
NFL has a bad record with suspensions in general.
the 11th game, the game that he comes back is week 13, which, if you count the bye week, and that's how you get to the 11 games anyway, is against the Houston Texans,
Oh,
which obviously it was done completely on purpose. There is no way that was. We just have a fire truck come by. What was that?
I had no clue. I just heard this loud horn.
We just got a huge honk. Anyway, if you're the Houston Texans and the NFL, this was all done on purpose. Let's be real here. 11 is the most random number when you could have just done the entire year.
Or 12. Usually get even numbers unless
Right.
it's like 1, 2, or 3, something like that. But past like 3 games, you start getting even numbers for all of them.
Like,
Maybe like maybe 5 because it's a nice number. But after that, it's all even numbers usually for suspensions.
sports is all business and it all runs behind money. And the NFL saw an opportunity to suspend him for 11 games and bring him back against, would you know who? The Houston Texans, with
Go
the owner that
Texans.
didn't want him and the scene of all the crimes, apparently, which were in Houston at his home, from all the women that he flew in from Atlanta and Cleveland and there's a couple other places, mainly just this one massage parlor in Atlanta that he flew all these girls to Houston. I mean, it's like the NFL knew exactly what they were doing. And that's what bothers me because now you haven't set any type of precedent ever. Like there's no precedent set.
Well, Ray
Not one
Rice
bit.
originally got 2, and then he got more after everything came out.
Right.
Zeke got 6 for something not even remotely close to Watson.
And the hoopla about Calvin Ridley, who bet on his own team and then got a whole year suspension. It's like, what are we like? Where are we valuing?
I don't know. Suspensions a lot of places, just especially the NFL, don't seem to make sense at all.
I
all the
think
time.
I think this makes the NFL and Roger Goodell look very dumb. Not only very dumb, but almost like very weak. I think is even a better word. They've tried to flex us this strength that they had.
Well, there's a reason why a lot of people don't like Goodell as an not owner.
I agree.
I mean, it's weird. Is he's still probably not the worst commissioner in all the current big sports?
He's
in the
not.
US.
He's not.
Unfortunately, it's my favorite sports. Probably got the worst commissioner.
And he's done some great things for football. But when it comes to dealing with stuff like this, the NFL seems to always drop the ball.
Always.
How do we go? How do we not get a full season? I just don't understand.
I mean, at least Bauer, and he had one woman, and he got found not guilty for his deal. He got 2 years, but from the MLB.
It's so strange to me how this all of a sudden has played out. And we haven't had I'm assuming at some point we're going to get a Goodell explanation, hopefully over the next couple of days.
You would hope.
But really one day, 11 games and one fine of $5 million.
For as much as he's making, wasn't it fully guaranteed?
Yeah,
too?
fully guaranteed, $230 million.
That's chump change.
That's nothing. Not to mention all the money he's made because he got a max deal from Houston before he even.
That's between 2 and 2.5% of his entire.
If that.
No, well, 230. It's about between 2 and 2.5%. It's between that.
Yeah, that's nothing.
No, it's not much. No,
He'll give double that if he wanted to. This is not a great look. Not a great look for the league. Not a great look for the judiciary system in charge of coming out with stuff like this. And I just wish they would be transparent with us because they clearly didn't have enough evidence.
Either that or they thought they did, and then
That's what I'm saying.
there came through like they just wanted to get it over with, and
Yeah.
like let's settle with this number and we'll all be fine.
Or maybe they had the evidence and Watson knew it and decided to settle. But again, the NFL at that point would have had all the leverage. They could care less what Watson thinks.
There's probably something going on behind the scenes with that.
I just don't. I don't get where the ruling came from. I don't get how it happened. I don't even understand. I wish I could get an NFL judge or whoever put this all together to come through and tell me how they even got to this portion of ruling. The 11 games, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It is clearly done on purpose. What are the odds they play Houston this year? And what are the odds that it happens on that week that he happens to come back? It's not, it's all done on purpose. And it sucks because now there's, like I said earlier, there's no precedent for anything that happens like this in the future. Go ahead.
Isn't the NFL considered entertainment technically?
It is.
So
because it goes under the ratings on television when they go back and watch the most watched TV shows. It's considered in that category.
Well, I mean, like baseball is considered a sports league, whatever their whole deal, but NFL is actually considered entertainment.
Yeah, the Super Bowl is the biggest watched television event of the year.
I mean, I'm not just talking about other stuff. Like specific programs where I'm actually talking about it's an entertainment league.
Yeah.
So they can actually do other stuff and get away with it. I think that's what it was. And like basketball, baseball, some of these other stuff, they're considered sports. Well, NFL had like the distinction of entertainment league.
I just want somebody to tell me how they concluded to this and how they concluded that $5 million was enough if in fact they felt like they had all this stuff against Deshaun Watson. And who advised more than half these women to settle? Can't imagine it was the lawyer. Did the women take the deals on their own? Perhaps. But I can't imagine that it was all just here. I don't know. I can't imagine that the lawyer wanted to do that, especially if the lawyer was working in cahoots with the NFL and lawyer happens to be best friends with the owner of the Houston Texans, lives down the street. It's a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, something probably happened there because it seems to be a lot of smoke, but as to what exactly, I'm not sure.
Somebody's going to have to explain because, again, I don't think there's any middle line here, and I feel like the NFL is riding the fence trying to figure out what to do with the guy. But $5 million, that's it? 11 games?
Seems weak.
Seems very weak.
What happened.
Seems very weak. Whether that is entirely 100% true or not, I don't know, man. I just feel like it's a bad look for the league and a bad look for anybody that could ever find themselves back in this scenario ever again, you know? So yeah, that's the latest on Deshaun Watson. According to Josina Anderson, who tweeted out earlier today, he still remains he still claims his innocence. He's sorry for everything that has happened, but he still claims his innocence. There was no sexual assault with any of these women.
I mean, he didn't play well in preseason anyways.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, guy hasn't played football in like a year and a half.
I know,
2
but
years.
you still think better than 1 for 5.
Sure, that's not a great start. So I mean, listen, maybe he needs 11 weeks of practice, and this team will be okay. I'm assuming they'll probably make a move for another quarterback. Now that the suspension has gone so long.
They've got Brissett, and
I know they've got Brissett.
Didn't they just sign Rosen too?
They did. Jimmy G is an option that I've heard could be thrown around.
I've heard that. I've heard him too.
I don't really
Brissett
care.
Currently is their starter.
I don't really care who I take out of those two. I still think, and I haven't even seen their schedule, but I'm assuming they'll be hovering 500 or maybe just a tad better. I think they have the best running back duo in football.
They do have a good one.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are both 1,000-yard rushers and really, really, really good. So maybe that's enough. I think the defense is very good. Maybe that's enough, but we'll see. They could be heading to Houston in that week 13 game 6-5, 6-4.
We also got to think quarterback bad quarterback play could hamper your team.
Yeah, it's super important. They just need Jacoby Brissett to get them just to stay above water and not drown completely. And they just got to hand that ball off. That offensive line is phenomenal too. So they've done a lot of stuff to make a really good team. Unfortunately, they're stuck in the middle of a really nasty legal swamp of a mess with the guy that they're hoping, could take them over the top to that level. So we'll see what happens there. Let's shift here to our very wonderful and local baseball team. Not the Cleveland Railroaders, who, by the way, are doing pretty good. They've just eclipsed 100 home runs last night on the season. Not bad. I believe they're only one of 4 teams to do that in the league so far. So congrats to them. I believe they're winning that series. They're in Indiana, I believe, currently right now. So go Railroaders. They're fighting for their lives for the playoff push right now. So congrats to them. But there's another team, our wonderful Texas Rangers, who have decided to make some noise. Won a couple of games and then said, all right, well, here's our manager. Let's get him out of here. Let's start. I want to start there first. That's the kind of oldest news.
Yeah.
We had talked about how hot the seat would be for Woody.
I didn't think it was that hot.
We had talked about his relationship with Seager. We had talked about his, success over the last 4 years. And I think we both kind of felt like, yeah, maybe now's not the time to pull this off.
I would have given him next year if you'd been able to get more better players. More pitching, especially. Kind of let the young guys come up. I did not expect him to disappear.
I think at the end of the year, it wouldn't have shocked me. At the end of the year, if they would have decided to do it.
That was one thing, but I guess they're just giving Beasley the chance to see how he could do.
Yeah, and
I hope he does well.
And Cristiano said that he'll be a candidate. And the good thing for him is that they also said that he won't be judged off of what he does here at the end in terms of if they lose a bunch of games. Well, obviously the roster he's been given isn't the greatest.
No,
so,
I mean, we have had success in the past with hiring a third base coach to be the manager.
That is very true.
Ron Washington is probably the greatest manager in team history.
He's a name that's being thrown out there.
As much as I would love Wash, I don't think it'll happen.
In your eyes, what does this team need out of a manager that Woody couldn't provide?
Someone possibly, I don't know, to be honest, better talent.
Okay, so you're saying manager maybe wouldn't have even mattered at this point?
I mean, there's probably someone who's been hard on the players, like really hard, and another guy's probably really player friendly. Maybe someone a little more in between couldn't hurt.
Because the reason I asked that question is because I had a friend tell me, well, what is really is the baseball manager position the least effective out of all 4 major sports coaches?
No, I don't think so.
What would you say is?
For the head coaches and
manager? Out of baseball, basketball, football, and hockey,
I would probably say, I mean, with the few exceptions, basketball, because it's a more player-driven league, and a lot of times the players take over the game.
Okay, so you think a basketball head coach has less of an
with
impact?
With some exceptions. I mean, Kidd came in, obviously, and helped the team. I mean,
sure.
There are some coaches out there. But, I mean, baseball managers aren't least, because they got to set the lineups every day. It's 162 games where you get to affect what's going on with the game. You got to know matchups. You also got to take into account the pitching. When is the pitcher done, or he runs into trouble? Will he be able to get out of it? Do you think he can get out of it? Does he have more in his arm, left in his tank for the day, or if he got into trouble, you could tell he's done. There's other little things behind it with the manager and stuff that you don't think about, because baseball's, a lot of people compare it. At least me, you always got to think, what's the next move? What's going to happen? Like, I say you're a shortstop. Runner on first and second, no outs. Well, and tie game, let's say tie game bottom of the ninth. First and second, the other team is you're the away team. Well, if it's hit to you, where are you going? What are you going to do? Obviously, if it's hit to your right, you're obviously going to go to third to get the lead runner and see if they can't go throw to first and get the other guy for the double play. So, like, managers, the same thing. You got to think about matchups. Like, okay, bring this guy into pitch. He has to face 3 batters, unless it's the end of the inning. Okay, well, you got to think ahead. Who's the next 3 batters? Who do they have on their bench that they could pinch hit? Like, potentially, like, say, a right-handed pitcher. Who do they have on the bench that's
Sure.
left-handed?
A lot of little details.
Yeah, so there's a lot more going into what a manager is than you would think.
So, best manager in baseball right now in your eyes is who?
If you hadn't put him on the spot, could be Dave Roberts, but he's also got a lot of talent there in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Because they actually overtook the Yankees for best record in baseball.
Does Dave Roberts make a difference if he starts the season this year with this roster on with the Rangers?
Now you put me on a spot. I don't know for sure. I mean, like I said, I haven't
See,
really.
that's my question when it came to like firing Woody now. It was like I don't know if you even could have brought in the best manager in baseball with the best staff to come in here with our current roster and done any better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
So it's like, why fire the guy with 46 games or 7 games left, and kind of do it right then and there? That's kind of the weird iffy thing to me.
well, yeah, I have no clue.
Like we're not fighting for a playoff spot.
Not unless we got really hot.
Sure, unless we go 30-10 or 35-5.
I mean, the Rockies, when they went to the World Series, they were like 21-22.
Yeah,
This made it.
No, this roster's not doing that.
No, you need more pitching other than Perez and Gray.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Consistent. Let me phrase it: consistent pitching.
So, if we're not fighting for a playoff spot, are you just ticked off that we haven't beaten the Astros in 3 years and you suck in the division? Are you mad that none of the pitchers have been developed? Are you mad that? I mean, like, I just don't understand what the organization
Developing pitching has never been a strong suit of the Rangers.
Okay, well,
we've had a couple guys here and there, but
I just don't know what John Daniels and Chris Young were looking for out of Woody this season. Like, I understand you signed your 2 big guys and you got your middle of the infield solidified for the foreseeable future. Great, fantastic. But like, you can't tell me that you were just like, with 46 games left, what's the point of firing the guy?
Clubhouse shock, culture shock, letting you know, hey, if you're not doing your job, that you could be next.
I don't know. I kind of wonder. I kind of am questioning a little bit of the organization, because what was the knock on Bannister?
Too hard on the
Too
players.
hard.
But he also, from what I heard, went towards the end with Bannister's run here. He kind of lost the clubhouse.
Okay, well, that's probably his fault. So you didn't like the guy that was too hard, that just came off of winning the division in back-to-back years. You didn't like the guy that was too soft, apparently. So is the organization just not like? Are these guys not just being pleased? I just don't know like what they're looking. I don't know what they're looking for.
Well, one thing with the getting rid of Woody now and the other move the Rangers did, letting go of Daniels, it'll give Chris Young the chance to get his guy, the guy he wants in there.
Sure. And
the people he wants around him.
And that goes to, when was it? Was that 2 days ago?
Yes.
It's 2 days ago. John Daniels, manager since
or was it?
2008, is out the door.
I thought, wasn't he a couple years earlier than 08? Because I know he made the Feathershare trade.
I think what I saw was 2008. Could be wrong. So we're without a head coach. Well, manager. We're without a manager and without a general manager. Although now Chris Young will be assuming all of those duties.
Chris Young was already the GM. He was not the president.
Oh, that's right. It was president of baseball
because
operations.
They promoted Daniels and then signed.
So the owner said that Chris Young's going to remain in that spot and hold all operations for the Rangers for the foreseeable future. Fine. Great. Got it. Woohoo. But I will say I don't know what's going to happen if we bring in another manager and we have a very similar season. Are people calling for Chris Young's head then, or they're just going to realize that we just
They're
don't have
gonna
the
give-
talent?
They're probably going to give him a couple years. I don't think because I just looked it up. John Daniel was actually promoted to GM in 05.
Okay.
Because he was around for 17 years as head of GM or the president of baseball operations, and he was there a few years before that. Give him a few years to actually make a mark, because he was given the job in 05. 07 was the share trade, which turns out to be one of the most lopsided trades currently, and was able to one that gave the Rangers the chance to make it to the World Series.
Right.
Because all but like one of the players were important
Right.
for the team at the time.
Yep.
And the World Series runs. So for GM, you got to give it a few years. Get the guys he wants in there. Get his type of players. Get his staff. So you give them GMs generally, not always, but generally you give them a few more years than you would managers, because managers you can kind of tell even if the team sucks, if they're still trying and playing hard for your manager, then you know you need to get a few better players. But if they kind of just sort of give up and don't really play hard, and you can tell, then you know it's about time to
I just kind of
run on from the
wonder.
manager.
I just kind of wonder if the organization's gotten to a point where they're just too hard to please.
Well,
And I guess this would be the type of move to get away from that. Get rid of your guy that's in charge of your operations and get rid of your manager in a span of 3 days or 4 days.
well, the owner Ray Davis did say they plan on spending more money in the offseason.
Sure.
And there are
I'm ready. Bring it on.
There are some names going to free agency this year.
Bring it on. I could give a rip who you get. Give me pitchers and give me as many pitchers as you can. That's all I care about. All right. When we come back, we got to talk some stuff. I'm going to compare Luka to an NBA superstar because I think their careers could be on the same track. And I got some stuff to say about some of the stuff that happened with the NBA and their NBA schedule release. We'll get to that and more. We'll be right back.
Hey, Jill, congratulations on your son getting into the college of his dreams and with a full scholarship, too. Yes, we are so proud of him. You know, I have to be honest. I'm a bit worried about our daughter getting into college. It's so competitive out there, and I feel overwhelmed with where to start. I completely understand. Listen, I felt the same way, and then I met Dr. Gina of Education Prep Centers. She put a plan in place that helped our son stand out in the admissions process and that gave us a peace of mind for how to create a financial roadmap for his future. Wow, that's great. Sounds like I need to give her a call. Yes, she definitely helped our son find the perfect college, meet all his deadlines, and help us feel less anxious about the whole process. You need to reach out to her. Just check out educationprepcenters.com and set up a complimentary assessment with Dr. Gina. You'll be so glad you did. Education Prep Centers, college admissions made easy.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Alrighty, welcome back to Inside the Game. Glad that you're listening in wherever you are listening from. Glad that you're here. We just talked about our poor, wonderful Rangers who have decided to go an interesting route of retooling the organization and getting everything done the way they want it to be done to hopefully compete.
And I will say this: it was the John Daniels that most fans are happy about.
That
one
was a big one.
Unexpected too.
Trying to sign into something here.
Trying to watch the game.
Well, I figure if we're going to be doing a sports radio show, we might as well have some sports on the TV. Why not, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
So, who knows? Maybe it just worked. I see a screen and it's loading. That's better than what we had before.
It's a spinning circle.
It's a spinning circle. Okay, so I need to compare Luka to somebody who he's already been compared to many times. But something that I saw recently has got me down this track with Luka. I think his career, by the time it's all said and done, and LeBron's career in a couple of different ways could be very similar. Now, that might scare everybody in DFW. Oh my goodness, is Luka going to leave? I don't think so, but
Not
the
if you
Mavs
don't.
sure need to be careful because he very easily could. But even if he stays, I think their careers could go very similar in a couple of different ways. I have seen recently, and this is coming off the back of LeBron signing a 2-year extension with the Lakers.
That was crazy for $97 million for 2
was,
years.
Yeah, which was the big news yesterday. Yeah, $97 million, 2 years. It actually goes up to $111 million with incentives when it comes to playoffs and championships and conference finals and things along.
How much do you think they're going to make the finals with that team?
With that roster, I mean, sure, it's not the greatest roster in the world.
You're definitely top heavy with the players on the Lakers right now.
Sure. I think healthy
The
LeBron
depth.
and AD are easily the best duo in basketball. It's not even close when they're healthy. But yeah, the rest of the roster is not great. They got some
You
time.
got Westbrook too. Who,
Yeah, they got some time to figure that out, and hopefully they can trade in for some pieces. But he was also assured that those first round draft picks that they didn't want to get rid of before, they will get rid of to go get guys, for example, like a Kyrie Irving or whoever else wants to come to LA.
How are they going to work with the salary cap?
Well, he would have to take his $6 million, whatever it is, and then he could sign a max the following year. They don't have the room. They don't have the room this year.
Well, I'm saying it's just they don't have it for this year.
So this is coming off the back of LeBron signing his extension, which everybody was kind of concerned that whether he would or not, just because they weren't sure kind of what was going on through his brain with Russ and AD and all that stuff. Anyway, this ties him to the Lakers through 2024. Which will give him the availability then in the summer of 2024 to go to literally whatever team Bronny decides to go to or gets drafted to. Anyway, so it's really working out great for him. But I've seen a lot of people over the last 24 hours, 48 hours, really just like reopen all the can of worms that they hate on LeBron and smash him for this deal. And I got to thinking about his career as a whole, and I got to thinking about Luka's career so far, and they're criticized in very similar fashion, which to me only maximizes just how great they are.
Oh, I mean, Luka's been in the league 4 years, 3 first-team All-NBAs.
Yeah, I mean, very quickly when LeBron was in the league in Cleveland, and Luka in his first 4 years. Everybody knew from the moment that those guys got on the court, these two dudes are just completely different.
Luka had to get to the court, unfortunately, for a bunch of people because I'll watch like YouTube videos a bunch. They're like predictions of Luka before the draft. Like, oh no, he's gonna be overdrafted. He's probably mid-10s pick. He's European. He won't. No, when he gets there in his rookie year, he shows.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I still don't know why some people thought Trae Young had the better rookie season than Luka. He had a better stretch.
I mean, yeah.
But overall, the whole
Luka
rookie
had
season,
a much better year.
Luka was he was legendary. Oh, not legendary, but it was historic type of rookie season.
The problem that I'm seeing with people when it comes to criticizing both of these guys is that they are very quick to move the goalposts on both of them. And here's the only analogy that I possibly have to talk about what I'm hearing when it comes to LeBron. If you are the prettiest girl in school let's just go to high school. And it's senior year, and a transfer comes in. And this girl just happens to be really pretty as well. She's good in school. She's a cheerleader also, just like you. There's a reason why the popular girl at school hates the new girl, because the new girl is a threat to her. There's a reason why she pulls all the pranks and she does everything to get the girl to not be on the cheerleading squad and to do all this crazy stuff, because you see them as a threat. That has been the entire career of one LeBron James. Everybody and their grandmother sees him as a threat, in some people's eyes, to the legacy that Michael Jordan has as the greatest player of all time. And it bothers people so much to the core that they go out of their way to never give him credit when he does something great and then kill him when he does something bad. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of those people coming out of the grave and doing the same thing for Luka. And I'm trying to figure out how and why this is happening all over again. It's like I'm watching it again. For the next 20 years, I'm going to have to hear the same people give me the same garbage excuses and criticisms that they gave LeBron now to Luka.
And now, at least with some of it for Luka, I mean, I really, really hate to say this, but some of it's because he's white and European.
Sure.
Some of the stuff is because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say that, but
yeah, there
just
can be
looking at it-
there can be no European face of the league.
Well,
I hate to break it to you people, because the two best players in the league are both European.
I mean, when Dirk was playing, he could have been, if he wanted to, by far one of the faces of the league. Even then, he was considered one of the top players, period, in the league.
Right.
And so, isn't your top players usually the faces of the league? So at the time, Dirk could have been considered a face of the league just because of how good he was considered.
They should be. I think the player has to kind of take that mantle and want to do it. And I think,
of course.
And I think Luka can do it.
Dirk didn't want to.
Dirk could have cared less about that.
Yeah, he just wanted to play.
Just want to play basketball.
Win as much as he could.
So I'm hoping that for the next 20 years I don't have to deal with this again. But I have a feeling that for the next 20 years I'm going to have to deal with this again.
Yeah.
Because I think the torch will be passed from LeBron when he's gone to Luka. They're almost identically the same guy.
Either that or maybe Giannis, if he's still at a high level when LeBron's gone.
Yeah, I just think skill wise and like the way they both play, they're eerily similar. Extremely high amounts of rebounds, extremely high amounts of assists, and 25 to 28 points a night.
Able to score when they want.
Whenever they want.
I will say that LeBron does have better athleticism than
Sure.
Luka.
He's got the
But
body.
Luka's got probably a better IQ than that's not a diss at LeBron. He's probably one of the highest IQ basketball players of all time.
Yeah,
If
they're
Luka,
easily two of the smartest guys in the league, two of the best passers in the league.
like I said, I'm not trying to diss LeBron about the IQ. I'm not. No, he's one of the best IQ players ever. Just saying, Luka's probably got a little bit better basketball IQ than him because less athleticism and able to be exactly the same type of player. Just shows the IQ that Luka has for the game of basketball.
Yeah, you only get a guy every once in a while like LeBron that's 6'9", 265, and might be the fastest guy on the court whenever he wants to be. That's like rare stuff. You only get a 6'6" Michael Jordan 220 that like literally can jump out of the gym. Like that's stuff you get once every 50 years. But this kid is right on his heels when it comes to like start of career, points scored, achievements. My goodness, if the team can just rebound, they may be playing in the finals last year. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, other than, of course, Luka.
Well, yeah, I was just saying, like, if the team could just rebound as a whole, that's why you lost that series to the Warriors the way that you did. And you addressed those issues in the offseason, which is great.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing a similar trek, and unfortunately, I think we're going to have to see a very similar amount of criticism where it doesn't matter what Luka does good, it was because somebody else did it or the other team was bad. And whenever he does something great, well, he doesn't get any credit because he had the team or the other team sucked.
Yeah.
That's how it's been for LeBron for 20 years. And people are only that way when they see you as a threat. Quick life tip from Uncle Kelvin. If you are getting criticized wherever you're at in life to the point where people will go out of their way to try to make your life miserable, keep doing what you're doing because you're doing something right. Because they're scared and they're afraid. If LeBron was zero threat to Michael's legacy, there would be no issue ever,
No.
ever. But the fact that some people see him like that, it's like the media and the world have this like protective bubble around Michael Jordan, and nothing can ever disrupt anything that he ever did, as if he was the perfect NBA player. And I'm terrified that that same amount of distraction and hate is going to get passed down to Luka once LeBron is gone.
Well, I've also seen since he's Luka's been compared to Larry Bird. There's been some people in the media that seem to
hate
go-
that. Yeah,
yeah.
they hate it.
I'm sorry, they're both white guys, and Larry Bird's probably the greatest white guy to ever play
Absolutely.
in the NBA right now.
Yep.
And Luka's getting compared to Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like that either because, like,
I
Bird
like
was
the
just
comparison to
crazy.
LeBron better.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just saying he's also
Um,
been compared to Bird.
Yeah. To all those people, I mean, I get the comparison, but to me, he's like a 2-inch taller, 20-pound lighter LeBron, and he doesn't even have the athleticism that LeBron. And imagine if he was like even remotely a little stronger, a little more like active. I mean, it'd be unreal.
Well, have you seen the photos of him
I
playing
saw
for
some
Slovenia
photos.
right now?
Yeah,
He looks a little more svelte.
he looks a little slimmer.
Yeah,
Maybe
which-
a little too slim. I don't know.
maybe.
We'll see.
but apparently it's starting to get a lot of people talking about like the league could be in trouble if this
It
is
could
him.
be.
Imagine if he comes and starts in the season the way he in shape like the end of the season.
I mean,
He's an MVP guy.
sure.
Period.
Sure. I think he should be the favorite. Probably.
Well,
I think all three.
He currently is the favorite.
I think all three European guys should be the
I mean,
favorites.
Jokic has
Yeah. I mean,
last 2 years.
if he goes back to back and back to back again,
If he gets that third in a row, he's definitely in the Hall of Fame for sure, without a doubt.
sure. Yeah, 3 MVPs will get you there. They could be. I mean, Jamal Murray's going to be back. Michael Porter's going to be back. That team's going to be back.
Yeah.
Here's another reason why. Here's another reason why. Oh man, I'm just. I don't understand where this happened. Let me give you a quick example. ESPN put out an article 3-4 weeks ago. I'm going to switch to the NFL for just 30 seconds.
Go for it.
They put out an article 3 weeks ago that said, how can the Indianapolis Colts stay atop their division? Okay. I don't know if they're researchers, just don't know what they're doing. But does ESPN not know that Indianapolis hasn't won the AFC South in 8 years?
I'll be honest, I didn't know that, but then again, I'm a Cowboy fan.
Okay.
So
So it infuriated me as a Titans fan because why on earth are the Colts getting an article on how to stay atop their division? They haven't won the division in 8 years. So that type of garbage is the stuff that I see sometimes for LeBron that's sneaking up to Luka. For example, there is some weird infatuation and love with the Clippers and Kawhi and Paul George that the media
Yeah.
just like, they love to just push that. And I'm trying to figure out what on earth they have earned to get that amount of love. And like, I saw a Vegas site today that has them as the title favorites. And I'm like, what in the world?
I mean,
how do the Warriors
they've
not
lost
get
some
that?
players from when they went the furthest.
Yeah.
Plus, they barely squeaked by Luka and nobody's
Twice.
twice.
Barely squeaked
One-
by him twice.
Yeah, one of them went to 6, the other one went to 7.
Yeah.
And Luka by himself. I mean, you have Porzingis, but he was hurt some of it,
Sure.
and then
That team was a little
It's
different too.
Porzingis.
Yeah.
But still, Luka was doing everything he could.
Yeah. Everything it could. And Luka by himself took him to 6 and 7 games. I don't understand the love for this like team. I think Brooklyn gets that a lot. Like Kevin Durant gets that a lot.
Well, a lot of people I don't think are with Brooklyn because
Sure.
it's dysfunction right now.
But if they both stay, I think Vegas has them still as like a better title odds to win. You know, like if both him and Kyrie Irving stay. And I'm like, I just don't understand where like the proof is for people to justify this type of stuff.
I have
Why-
no clue.
First of all, the Clippers haven't done anything since those two got together. You know, they've played 31 games together in the last 2 years.
I knew it wasn't a lot.
Okay. Yeah. It's not a lot. So that's excluding the playoff games. So it's like the guys can't stay healthy. For some reason, they're the greatest players that the world has ever seen in people's eyes. And it's all knocks at LeBron. That's what it is. Nobody could care about the Clippers. Nobody could care about Brooklyn. It's just knocks at one guy. And Luke, unfortunately, is going to get that same treatment because I think he's the second best player in the league right now. He's on track. I don't know how him and Giannis are going to battle that out for the next 10 years. But they could be flip-flopping 1 and 2 for the next 10 years or 12 years.
Well, they're both, the home countries are not that far from each other either in Europe.
Yeah.
Greece and Slovenia.
So I don't know how that's all going to work out, but I'm afraid that Luka's headed down this path where he's just, anything that he does great, it wasn't because of him. And anything that he does bad, it was all because of him at that point.
I mean, as much as I hate to say, I'm not the world's biggest LeBron fan, but I definitely recognize his greatness in basketball and stuff.
Yeah, I just wish people would be honest and not make double standards.
His biggest knock, at least for the finals, like I said, English is hard remembering stuff, is the 2011 Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, it's the only finals that you can knock him on.
Without a doubt. I mean, but then again, it was the Mavs.
Sure.
With a bunch of
role
players that knew their spots, knew what to do, and how to take care of and win.
It's the biggest blemish on his career. It's the lowest, and I'm the biggest guy. I think he's the greatest player to ever play, and that is about as low as it got for LeBron. You couldn't get any lower than that.
Especially before the season, he goes not 5, not
Sure.
6, not 7.
Yeah, I just wonder how much of
he
that
stays
is
for 4 years.
Is just adrenaline and stupidity coming out of their mouths.
Losing the very first time they went to the finals. I mean, you got to mesh and stuff, but still.
Yeah, there's no reason they should have lost. None.
No.
I mean, and they just got outworked in every way in those last 4 games.
Dirk was still in his prime then.
Absolutely.
But you also had past his prime kid who knew what to do, smart, savvy veteran. Tyson Chandler's probably in his prime, but he was basically the defensive guy, which led the Mavs.
Sure.
Gave them the defense. And you had a bunch of other guys, role players. Jason Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sean Marion.
Yeah,
Karan Butler was on that team.
Until he got hurt in like December, January.
Yeah, that's the only knock on LeBron's career. Nobody ever expected him to win any of the other finals that he lost. And so then they smack him when he loses. And it's the same thing. Nobody on earth expected the Mavs to beat the Warriors last year. Nobody, not a single human being on earth. Everybody knew that the Warriors were going to win that.
I was optimistic, but I'm also realistic about I hope they win, but if they lose, I understand.
What bothered me was that when they lost, everybody found that as the opportunity to kill Luka. And I'm like, if you didn't even put the expectation on him to win, how do you even have the right to then smash him for it?
A lot of people didn't even really expect him to get past the first round because,
of course,
Trae Young's better because he's made it to the conference finals. Well, have you seen the teams that Luka has had around him? We made it to the playoffs. And then they make it back to the playoffs this year. Oh, they passed the first round, sorry. Beat the Jazz. I still saw a lot of comments like, Trae Young's still better because he made it further. Well, Luka's made just the same distance as they did.
Yeah, those people are just Atlanta Hawks fans. There's no need to...
I'm just still, but it's still crazy that some people think Trae Young's better.
Yeah,
He's a good player, but not better than Luka. They're just mad that they traded basically Trae Young, John Collins for Luka.
Yeah. And I mean, both teams won that deal in my eyes. I mean, I don't think either team lost.
Mavs won it more.
Well, right. I mean, they got the better player, but it's not like Atlanta got chump change either.
No, I mean, you can still say the Mavs won that trade just because
they sure did.
They have.
Yeah.
But Trae Young at the same time is still a good consolation prize.
Mm-hmm. And I think the league also, in its weird way of protecting LeBron and the media doing this weird thing, they also recognize that he brings the dollars and he brings the money.
Oh, by far, definitely.
So what did they do this Christmas? They put the Lakers in Dallas, LeBron versus Luka. So they're very smart when it comes to money, but they're also very smart when it comes to protecting their guy. And I'm terrified, and I hope that Luka's ready to handle it because LeBron has been able to handle this amount of criticism for 20 plus years. Imagine having the label on your back in high school, the chosen one. You got to
live up to it.
Yeah, you got to deliver.
Not very many people can get titles like that and actually deliver on what they're expected.
My big thing with Luka is whether he's a Mav or whether he's not a Mav. I believe he's going to produce a title wherever he goes.
Eventually.
In whatever spot that he goes. Right. He'll produce one in Dallas. If he happens to leave, He will produce one wherever he goes. He's just that type of guy.
And
And unfortunately, the LeBron haters, once LeBron retires, they're going to lose their minds, not knowing what to do. And they're all going to go straight down to Luka. And I hope he's ready to take all of it.
Me too. Hopefully it's with the Mavs because they're winning.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens this year. I think both teams are on an interesting track. If I get 70 games of healthy LeBron and AD,
Definitely better than last year's Lakers. But you also got to think, even if they're both healthy for 70 games together, I mean, they could play more. What's going to happen with the depth? Because the depth is where you win or lose.
Sure. I think that'll be addressed. I can't imagine LeBron signed that deal. According to all the stuff that I read, he was given a lot of assurances by that organization. So fine. Great. I think we fully expect a better and healthier AD. And a much bigger and better LeBron. But that Christmas Day game, as I was sitting back and I was like, Mavs, Lakers in Dallas, all I could think was, as I've seen over the last few weeks, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to relive and have to defend Luka for another 20 years like I did LeBron, because a lot of the same stuff that one gets criticized for, the other one's going to as well.
Yeah, see, for me, with me not like being a big fan of LeBron, a lot of it came down to like his decision and how he handled it.
Sure.
I'm not going to sit here and say he sucks, blah, blah. No, he's a great player, and I respect it. Like A-Rod, I didn't like him because of what he said after he left the Rangers.
Sure.
And he just came off as kind of a, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I could have cared less for the decision either. I could have cared less for that.
I mean, yeah, he got a lot of money for like charity and stuff, but it was still
too much.
I think it was in poor taste.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, so I mean that's a lot of it why I'm not the biggest fan of LeBron does come down to that. But I'm not going to sit here. He has built a school back in his hometown, and he pays for it, and he's backing it. And he's also paid for a bunch of like college stuff too, hasn't he?
A lot of them. Yeah, if those kids stay at that school for 8 years, he'll pay for their college.
So I'm not saying his charitable stuff isn't great. No, he's done a lot.
Yeah, we're just talking like as a player.
He's still with the same woman he had he was with in high school, which nowadays in sports or just in general, you don't see that.
You don't see that
very often.
He's never had a scandal ever come up on his name.
Not a big one. Yeah. Like minor stuff here or there.
I'm talking about him and his woman.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Without a doubt, no.
So look, I know they're two different people and two different mindsets. I just hope that Luka's ready because the LeBron haters are headed that way very soon. And I think he's strong enough to take it because of a lot of the Hercules stuff that Luka did in those Clipper series a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
LeBron was doing that really early in Cleveland, and people were smashing him for it.
Even in the Sun series this past year, what he was able to do.
Yeah, I'm referencing like the
I know,
the ones that he's lost, where people have found it's like, oh well, he should have done more. It's like, well, what do you want Luka to do? The guy averaged like 42 points for an entire 7-game series,
a triple double too.
Yeah, so it's just people moving standards that I have a problem with, and I'm scared that it's going to go down that road for him as well. So hopefully not. I have 2 minutes. You watched the Cowboys preseason game. That was not great.
All of it, but I watched a little bit of it. I watched enough to know this.
I watched every second of that garbage. It was bad. You cannot commit, Justin. You cannot commit 17 penalties for 189 yards in a preseason game.
Now, though, I did some of the stuff I was watching. A couple of the penalties, like really, there was that roughing the passer and Sam Williams. I saw that. I was like, that looked like just a clean hit.
I mean,
I'm not saying that wasn't bad, but
sure.
So there were a few, but not even still. If you take out like 3, it's still 14, and it's still a lot.
What in the? I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that are.
Hopefully, it's because they're backups. And then Tyler Smith had a couple of holdings, but
there's the fire truck.
The fire truck
that we were missing earlier.
But like Tyler Smith, he's still young. He was just drafted first round, and that's what they know. He's a strong guy. He tends to hold on just a little too long at times. So you'll expect.
He was one of the most penalized offensive linemen in college football.
But you'll expect a few holding penalties from him every now and then.
But even then, I'm not asking for these preseason games to be
the other stuff
playoff quality. But just can he just look competent? Like somehow, none of those Cowboys players look competent at all.
Oh, there were a couple. Bland looked pretty good. From what I saw, was he corner or safety? One of the two. He was
Corner.
the DB.
Yeah.
He looked good, and
I just think like
and like
as
a couple of the
a
other
as a unit,
Oh,
it was just like I looked at that 53-man roster on the sideline. I was like, guys, what are y'all doing?
now.
What is going on here?
To be fair, a lot of like the main starters didn't play in that game.
Well, yeah,
So,
I mean, it's
Zach
preseason.
Martin,
I'm not
Tyron
expecting.
Smith,
Yeah,
most of them were.
but again, you can be competent. Like look like a football team, guys. Please.
They did run the ball well, though. Passing was.
So now you've got the Chargers. You're doing joint practices with them. I don't expect them to win that game either. Although I know it's just backups. By the way,
Will
did you see
Greer's
that-
getting his chance to be a backup.
Did you see that
win the
clip
job.
of Trayvon Diggs defending Keenan Allen from behind?
I
know.
haven't really been on social media that much
Really
today.
weird. Anyway, alrighty. That was a lot that was just said. We'll be back next week. Actually, we may not have a show next week. We'll see. We'll figure that out. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Step on my boots.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feathershare Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Featherchair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as